Now, on to something different. There's more evidence to suggest the UK's high streets are struggling. The number of shops and restaurants closing by nearly a fifth. It's up by nearly a fifth compared to last year. A report by the local data company finding 50% more retail units have been affected by companies going to administration, with shoppers opting to use discount stores instead.
Well, it found that there was a regional divide, with towns in the northwest and the northeast having the most long-term vacant units in the country, whilst those in London and the southeast enjoying a slightly brighter outlook. Well, the retail analyst Kate Hardcastle is in Leeds for us. Kate, we've been hearing about pain on the high street for many years, haven't we? Do you think these figures sound alarming, or is it just really the empirical illustration of what we already know?
This is a true reflection of the story that's happening and the story that's still to come. And I think a lot of the time we hear in the press and the media about the concern regards the high street, and people take a very quick snapshot and a conclusion that this is purely an online-offline swap of trade, if you like. The success in online has grown to about 20% of our shopping, and therefore it would make logical sense that as we're not all richer, 20% of that would be a shrinkage into our towns and city centres. And I don't disagree that they're going to get smaller, but dig underneath and you start to find some interesting other issues that need to be tackled to ensure that we still do have some type of community, some type of retail presence in a traditional format. That can be done, and there is a desire from consumers for that still to happen. But if we don't get the right action plans in place, I'm afraid this will continue to be the headline for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument, isn't there, which I think is what you were touching on there, that we need to think more creatively about our high streets and our retail space, because if it's not providing what people want, then we just need to change the offering, don't we?
I think you're absolutely right to draw that out. We can't just look at online coming and almost dominating or taking over without actually analysing the consumer's desire to do that. And the reason I do a lot of research into this consumer behaviour is to understand why did they opt online. And of course it's efficient and sometimes it's more economical because those businesses can be more leaner in terms of their operating costs. But actually consumers felt they were getting a bit of disservice from traditional retail. They felt that the service itself wasn't what they wanted to have, that it was lacking in customer service, lacking in product choice, lacking in the excitement. In fact, the whole industry hadn't really rejuvenated itself in decades. And I think it was more a movement against what they didn't want as the rush to just choose online because it was more effective. That means we've got to really focus on so many things to get what this social retail centre of the future is going to look. Yes, it will have less traditional shops and probably more offerings like medical centres and nursery facilities, but what it's got to have is a reason to visit, a desire to visit, and that includes really obvious things like parking, toilet facilities, ease of access, but also more invigoration, excitement, experience. That's what consumers tell us they're looking for, and therefore that requires investment and it needs very sensible plans from local authorities and the government.
On that point, Kate, the Chancellor had a package of measures, didn't he, to try and put some relief out there for some of these high street retailers. Do you think any of that is going to touch the edges?
The challenge is that whilst it's great to hear any compensation towards the real high costs of running a retail traditional business versus that of an online operator, it has to be about creating the reason for people to want to go shopping there. So just because the business is cheaper to run still doesn't change its dynamic in actually being a place that people want to shop. And it's also about alliances. It's about helping retailers to work together as a centre, like our traditional town centres used to be, so that there's collaboration and there's more focus, perhaps a different change of opening hours in operations in terms of what they do. The problem is we've got very stressed out local authorities who've got lots of things to tend to. Okay. No one really in the government focusing on this because of Brexit, etc. It's tough times.
All right, Kate Hardcastle, good to talk to you as ever. Thank you.